This podcast contains explicit language.
Bafangu!
Houston, flight is go.
Myla, let's go. STM. Safety contact.
From Assignment X, thesoniashow.com, and Amalgamated Storytelling, this is the Dorking Out Show, the podcast for people who love stories from movies, TV, books, podcasts, and everywhere else.
Welcome to episode 124 of Dorking Out. This is the Mission Impossible Fallout edition. My name is Sonia Mansfield. Joining me today is my co-host, Christopher Allan Smith. Welcome to your show, Smith.
I'm back, suckers!
Oh, it was such a sweet, sweet vacation.
The cat was away and the mice played, but now I am back to interrupt your fun.
Playtime is over, you
Playtime's
guys.
over.
Also, you're not really back, so how dare you tease our listeners?
Not exactly. I'm going to be here for a while. I'm going to be somewhat freed up for a little while. There's a truckload of stuff that I still have to do. I miss the show like crazy. So actually, I've already talked to Sonia about this.
No, he didn't.
Here, let me interrupt you while you were gonna say what we've already talked about, but I will just say it because I'm back. No. On the next episode, I'm gonna be here to talk about Spike Lee and the Black Klansman.
I'm excited for that one.
I am very excited for that one, but what's even more excited is I am gonna tell a story about the time that Sonia Mansfield's boyfriend pissed off Spike Lee.
Sonia Mansfield's ex-boyfriend,
but well, you know what? Actually, both of us play a part in that. I made a passing comment while he was lounging on our couch, like he did
a lot.
And he took this little passing comment of something that I thought would be kind of interesting to ask Spike Lee, and he blew it up into this dumb, stupid thing. So I guess it's kind of both of our faults. You for dating such a reprobate, and me for talking to somebody that was such a reprobate.
Well, dating questionable men was kind of my superpower when I was in college. So this that's right. Just in college. I'm going to tell David you said that.
I hope you do. That's why I said it.
Good.
That was the whole point.
So we're going to review Mission Impossible Fallout, spoiler-free for a little bit, but we might get into spoilers later in the show. But we will warn you first, because we're not monsters. At least I'm not. No comment?
No, I'm just gonna let that pass.
Okay.
I think the implication was clear to everyone, and I'm a big enough person to you know what? If people think I'm a monster, sometimes that's not bad.
Okay, you heard it here first, folks. So based on the TV show, which aired from 1966 to 1973, Mission Impossible Fallout is the 6th installment in this franchise, which started in 1996. It's got a crazy good list of directors throughout its run, including Brian De Palma, John Woo, J.J. Abrams, Brad Bird, and now Christopher McQuarrie, who I'm not sure I'd put him in this company, but these last 2 Mission Impossible movies have been directed by him, and they are really entertaining. The movie stars Tom Cruise as super spy Ethan Hunt, and I almost said Ethan Hawke, and he plays Ethan Hawke. And Ving Rhames as Winona Ryder. So Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, and Alec Baldwin return. And then Superman himself, Henry Cavill, is joining this one as another spy. And let's just get into it. Smith,
well,
what did you think of Mission Impossible Fallout? Or do you want to say... What do you think about the other Mission Impossible movies? Were you always a big fan? I think we saw the first one together, and I think we both didn't like it very much.
It was meh. I have a hate, sometimes admiration, usually not thrilled with relationship with Brian De Palma.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mission Impossible might have been the last passable movie he made before he became dependably awful.
Oh, what are his other? What did he make after? Because I can't believe that's true. I'm gonna look it up.
I think he made Snake Eyes.
I thought there was parts of Snake Eyes that was good.
All right, that explains a lot. It was fine. I have had nothing. Mission Impossible holds no special place in my life.
Right.
I didn't really watch this. I watch the show sometimes. The first movie, there's always, I like the idea of these movies. You know, I have always been a James Bond fan. And one of the things that was always dependable and great about the James Bond movies is every 2 years or 3 years, you could depend on them really trying to do something spectacular and kind of bring the best of modern action filmmaking to kind of the latest installment.
Right.
Which is always interesting, always fun. But I feel like when you have a series that goes on for 50 years, it kind of meanders and makes missteps and whatever. So I think even while I am a huge Daniel Craig fan and I like this run of movies right up there with Sean Connery's run of the first James Bond movies, there is something about that's just kind of light and fun and thrilling that is not going on in the current James Bond movies, or a lot of them, I should say. They're unbelievably cool, unbelievably suave, unbelievably really fun to watch, but there's just some kind of delightful spark that is not there because they're so self-serious.
Yes.
Which I think is a good anecdote or a good antidote for the Pierce Brosnan years of almost killing off the franchise. All of that is a long way of saying I couldn't have, Mission Impossible is good. I remember the thing where he flipped down on the wires to the computer. That's it. Mission Impossible 2 was every awful 1990s action movie trope crammed into a Mission Impossible movie.
Yes. And directed by John Woo, who made a series of movies like that.
Exactly. Then this movie, and then J.J. Abrams, fresh off of doing Alias.
Yes.
This is how far back I was. Mission Impossible 3 was J.J. Abrams' first directing gig for a motion picture, a first big screen directing gig. And ever since then, this series has gone from, hey, I can't believe Mission Impossible 3 was so good. Look at that. Hey, Mission Impossible 4 was actually pretty good too. That's cool. To, now we've had 4 movies in a row that are as good or better than the previous one. And they are, and now we're at, Mission Impossible Fallout, that people are, I've heard some serious action movie critics compare to Mad Max Fury Road, which I personally think is crazy.
I would agree that is crazy.
But if you were to compare Mission Impossible Fallout to any other action movie since Fury Road, you can kind of understand why they might reach back for that, because it's kind of like this movie has ridiculous fun, crazy action. I have been liking them. For me, Mission Impossible 3 still has a soft spot in my heart, even though the spectacle of Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation and now Fallout, they're doing what the James.
Are you saying that number 3 is your favorite?
It might be. It does some things that I really, really like.
Interesting.
But the action of the way that Tom Cruise as producer and star and Christopher McQuarrie now, the way that they are going at these movies, which is thinking up cool, crazy action sequences that he can do in a very, I'm not the first to say this, in a very Jackie Chan kind of, the star is going to really do the big stunt way. this is like, they are trying. I'm also not the first one to compare these to, James Bond movies, in the way that they're just a series of dependable movies that are there to do nothing except delight and thrill and make you laugh and make you have fun at the movies and show you the coolest, craziest, newest stunts. There's something to a series that when it's working well and on a run where you're just trying to top yourself movie after movie after movie, eventually it becomes too big and ridiculous, kind of like Die Another Day or Moonraker or whatever. But
right.
while it's building up to the misstep, it's like, holy cow, this is a lot of fun. And I really like it. I think I heard a little bit of derision when you said, are you saying that Mission Impossible 3 is your favorite movie?
Well, I don't think I don't think a lot of people list it as their favorite. That's all.
That is true, and I gotta say that's surprising. It seems to have this rank. There's been a lot of Mission Impossible rankings coming out lately, and people are putting Mission Impossible 3 kind of right above Mission Impossible 2, because Mission Impossible 2 is obviously the worst one. But there's Philip Seymour Hoffman being a creepy, crazy bad guy is just perfect casting. And there is something that Mission Impossible 3 did that I respect like crazy, which is all these movies are about either James Bond or Jason Bourne or Ethan Hunt going after some ridiculous thing that everybody's going after.
Right, the MacGuffin.
The MacGuffin, and that's the whole point, is we are all chasing this thing, and that threads the action sequences together. And in Mission Impossible 3, it's just like, what are you after? The rabbit's foot. What's it do? I don't know. What's gonna happen? Who cares? It's the rabbit's foot. It's super important. The bad guy wants it.
So now we got to get it.
So now we got to get it. Are we going to explain it? No. Does Ethan know what it is? No. Who cares?
Right.
That's it. And I love that kind of, we are going to acknowledge this is ridiculous and we are going to literally skate right by it because this is not the reason you people are here to watch the movie. So let's have some fun. Let's go.
Well, I think all the other ones are like that too. These are all just action sequence to action sequence with like a very who cares story kind of attaching them.
Right.
They are. I'm kind of fine with that. I do think that this movie, Fallout, felt different to me in that it had more, like it was trying more for like emotional stuff that I wasn't expecting it to do, that I don't recall seeing in the other ones, with like kind of the callback to his wife and all the stuff with Ving Rhames, and
right.
I don't recall them doing stuff like, I always felt like they were very standalone. Now, to be fair, I haven't seen all of them in a really long time. Like I've seen, 4 and 5 recently, and of course I just saw 6, but like I haven't seen the other ones probably since I saw them in the theater. So
right.
I remember those being more standalone.
Yeah.
And this one has like some of the emotional components that I wasn't expecting, because we just never had that sort of thing in those movies before. And then like bringing back a bad guy.
Yeah.
From 5. Like they haven't done that before, right?
I don't know. I don't think they brought back a bad guy. I will say that I would be really interested for you to see 3 again, because 3 is all about him and his wife and that emotion, and a really personal emotion, and it does have that. 3, while it's not as seen as good as the last 3 movies, is a pretty fantastic action movie.
Right.
It really is a great movie. What's great about, Ghost Protocol and then Rogue Nation, now Fallout, is I don't think that it had the Tom Cruise is doing the crazy stunt. you know, in with with Ghost Protocol, it was him climbing the Burj Khalifa.
Yes.
Which was watching that on an IMAX screen with my boys was one of the most fun movie experiences I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, it's so fun to watch.
Oh my God, it's fun.
Because they just ratchet it up. Like,
yeah, I just watched it again, and it still really holds up. Like it's that sequence, even, you know, on a TV at home, is just amazing. And the thing I really like about as the series has kind of developed is Ethan Hunt. He is stealing a lot from, or Tom Cruise, I should say, is stealing a lot from Harrison Ford and his Indiana Jones portrayal, which is, in the first movie, he was the young badass.
Right.
In the second movie, he was the kind of the Superman. In the third movie, he was like really super competent, but he was going, you know, his wife was kidnapped and all this stuff. But since then, he's been kind of the reluctant hero in that he has to do these crazy things, but you can see pretty much at every step he really doesn't want to, and he gets forced into it, and he's just like rolling his eyes, and he's, you know, you can see the fear, you can see the pain, you can see the stress, but it's not like over the top, you know, it's not like a DC movie or a, you know, Christopher Nolan movie where it's just really dark and grim and whatever. There's still a lot of humor, and there's, you know, kind of the shock at almost getting killed at every step.
Right.
And it's just so much fun to watch his reaction, or watch his having to deal with all this stuff. You know, even though he's Tom Cruise, and even though Ethan Hunt is essentially a superhero in his level of competence and level of execution, he does have this everyman quality of, oh my God, I've got to do this thing, and I really don't want to do it, and Jesus, what have I got myself into? And it's just so much fun to watch.
And this one, and in the last one in particular, there's a lot of, you start to see like all of these things are taking their toll on Ethan Hunt physically.
Exactly.
That we weren't seeing in those earlier movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like this movie. I really like Ghost Protocol, and I like Rogue Nation a lot too. And I like that, I feel like they're doing something that a lot of other movies aren't doing right now. I mean, maybe James Bond is doing it, but those like practical stunts.
Yes.
Not you know, there is CGI, I'm sure there is like visual effects going on, because they're like removing, sorry to ruin the fantasy for everyone, but they're removing like wires and padding and things like that, you know, but I don't think a lot of movies do that anymore. I mean, Marvel and all of those, it's all CGI, green screen kind of stuff. And I like that these movies are still doing like really crazy, outrageous stunts that we don't see very often anymore.
Yeah. You know, watching Tom Cruise climb around on the bottom of a helicopter.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, that is Tom Cruise. And I know that he must have a safety harness that they painted out, and he must have all this. But it's still like, you know, you're not seeing Bruce Willis climb around on the outside of a helicopter anymore. You're not seeing, you know, Chris Evans or Chris Pine or Chris Hemsworth
or some other Chris.
Or Chris Christopherson. You're not seeing them do any of this.
I would pay good money to see Chris Christopherson do it.
Know, this is like, there is this kind of BS, you know, that is one of the things that's funny about these last couple movies, where they've made such a big deal of Tom Cruise is really climbing on the Burj Khalifa, or Tom Cruise is really hanging off the side of a plane, or Tom Cruise, like they're movies have always had a certain level of using the star and the story of making the movie to promote the movie.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's always been BS, you know, that's always been a level of BS that Hollywood uses to kind of make people want to go see a movie. Nevertheless, even if Tom Cruise did half the stuff that supposedly he did in these movies, that is still really impressive. And the thing that I love about these movies is they're very old-fashioned in that all they want to do is interest you, then thrill you, then delight you, excite you, and basically give you your money's worth.
It's a kind of a perfect summer movie.
Oh, it's
just a vehicle for you to eat popcorn in the dark for 2 hours.
Exactly. And it's when I was a kid, people are going to laugh at this. And
I will definitely laugh at this.
The first movie that the first James Bond movie I saw in the theater was Octopussy. Which
just like saying Octopussy. I get it.
I love saying Octopussy. But which is so weird. Can you that was on movie posters.
Right.
That Octopussy.
All right, that's enough.
That's enough. PG movie. It is rated PG.
It's so crazy because now you can't even say cock blockers.
I know.
They just have to call the movie Blockers.
So what I was going to say is, what's funny is I think like the very first trailer, they were called cock blockers. It was like a cock and then blockers or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was just blockers. It was like, I thought they were called, I guess they changed the name. Anyway,
right.
So what I was going to say with Octopussy is there is one of the things that's so great about the James Bond movies when they're working well is the first 5 or 10 minutes is just a very nice, tightly contained little action sequence that kicks you right into, kind of gets you excited. Then they kick you right into the titles, and then you're right into the movie. And it feels like the movies are engineered to shoot you out of a cannon.
Yeah.
And it's just and one of my favorite experiences is, if you don't remember the beginning of Octopussy, is he's supposed to walk. James Bond is supposed to go into this facility in Cuba, put a bomb in a plane, and then walk out. He's pretending to be this Cuban officer. Well, he gets captured, and then he
fucks the bomb.
Yeah, his henchman, his accomplice woman, like breaks him out, and then you think he climbs back into this cart that her car's towing, and and it's like a horse cart, because for some reason right next door to this highly secure military facility is a horse race.
Of course.
But anyway,
of course.
And you think, he's going to get in the back in the horse, and he's going to ride off on the horse, and there's going to be a chase, and he's going to get away on the horse. Well, the back comes down, the ass of the horse kind of clicks up. It's a fake ass, and this jet comes out, and this jet that's not much bigger than him. It's like he's wearing the jet, takes off on this little thing. They shoot a missile at him. The missile goes all around, and he realizes, hey, I got this heat-seeking missile coming after me. All I need to do is fly my jet through the hangar where I was supposed to blow up the plane, and the missile will blow up the plane. So he does that. The place blows up, and it's just like very fun.
Apparently, we're reviewing Octopussy now.
Well, but what I mean is, there's a kind of just visual action storytelling, delightful craftsmanship that goes into that kind of movie making that Mission Impossible is doing like crazy. Mm-hmm. One of the things that is great about Rogue Nation is it kind of basically it starts with the quote unquote big action sequence that they're touting, which is Tom Cruise hanging off the back of a plane.
Right.
And then he gets in the plane and he almost falls out of the plane. And then
and when you see that in the previews and everything, you think, well, that's from the big.
Yeah, that's the big finale.
Yeah, that's the big finale. That's the climax. And instead, it's like, no, we're going to give you that in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, we're going to give you that in the first 10 minutes. But that's what I was going to say is for the last four movies, what they've done is they've had a traditional pre-title sequence. then they kick into that legendary, amazing, fantastic score, the Mission Impossible theme, which is one of the greatest hero themes in all of film and television history. It is an unbelievably great theme. And like a lot of movies, modern movies, they don't the composer in movie after movie. It's not like, we're not going to use I didn't write that theme, so I'm not going to use it in this movie.
Right.
I'm a new composer, and I'm just going to use my own music. It's like, no, we're going to use this traditional kick-ass theme. We're going to build the score around it. We're gonna build up to these moments of excitement and tension, and then, that's one of the things that I love about the beginning of Rogue Nation is, Tom Cruise is on the back of this thing, in the back of a plane. The bad guys are coming to get him, and you think, how's he going to fight his way out? And you realize, he's not going to fight his way out. He's going to kind of tangle himself in the netting around this poison or whatever.
Yeah, and then he's going to release the mummy.
He releases the parachute. The parachute drags the stuff out of the plane, and he kind of escapes. But they don't even show you him flying out of the plane. They don't show you the end of the sequence. He pulls the thing. The guy realizes what's going to happen. The stuff starts rocketing back out of the plane, and then they blast right into the Mission Impossible theme. And it's just when an action sequence and a hero character and a piece of music and good filmmaking all come together in a moment like that, it is just so much fucking fun.
Yeah, it is. Do you have a... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, no one really does that anymore.
Right.
There aren't moments that are intentionally built to kind of have the audience on their feet and cheering and clapping. So, even in the Marvel movies, which I love, there's not a lot of building up to a crescendo moment and then coming down. It's like there's action and there's stuff going on and there's stunts, but it's not built in the same way.
Right.
Like the Captain America.
It's like they forget that there's going to be an audience watching this, and they don't take into account how they want you to feel. Like don't you want people to pump their fists and go, yeah, that was awesome, or kind of get that feeling. And it's like, instead they just kind of, it's almost like they're making the movie for themselves, and they're forgetting that there's people that are going to pay money to see this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, for example, and here's one of the things that I've talked about music before with Jeff, when we've had Jeff Bond on, and this has actually been a criticism of Marvel movies, but I'm not going to lay it at the feet of Marvel, is there are moments in a certain kind of action movie or a certain kind of adventure fantasy movie where the character of the hero, the action on screen, the hero's theme, and the story and editing all come together for that moment. And
I think that's why people love the No Man's Land sequence in Wonder Woman so much.
Right. Actually, you know what? Thank you. You're right. That's 100% right. That is a very old-fashioned sequence in the way is she's coming up, she's becoming Wonder Woman, her theme kicks in, and you can the music and the character and the moment are all locked together. And it is just, for me, it's one of the big things in filmmaking. I can think of it, the Raiders March with Indiana Jones, or James Bond's theme, or the Mission Impossible theme with Ethan
Darth
Hunt.
Vader's theme.
Or or Darth Vader's theme. But I cannot think of a moment where Captain America did something cool and the Captain America theme kicked in.
I don't even know what the Captain America theme is.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the problem.
It's America, fuck yeah. Is that it?
That's close. They just don't have these things. So anyway, this is a long way of saying.
Very long.
That I am so thankful that, say what you will about Tom Cruise, say what you will about his past or his whatever, or even his present or whatever. When it comes to making movies, he is super dedicated, super focused on giving an audience a real, meaningful, fun experience. That is not a lot of people do in that way anymore. He's not too cool for school. He's not too cool to try to do these things, and he's not going to be unnecessarily angsty. He's not going to be unnecessarily whatever. He's like, I want my movies to kick big ass.
This is one of the things I wrote in my notes, because I have mixed feelings about Tom Cruise. Like, as a person, he's not my favorite. I'll just, to put it politely. But he's always made really interesting movie choices. Like, he picks interesting directors or writers, and, he's working like with Kubrick and Spielberg and, just the list for this movie franchise: De Palma, Brad Bird, J.J. Abrams, like John Woo. These are all like really super talented people that he's, some of them, like J.J. Abrams, giving them like their shot.
Right.
And I think that's really cool. And I think he, at least with these movies, because boy, The Mummy was a huge fail, but like he is trying to like give us that like fun movie going experience.
Right.
Like sometimes I'm like, someone's working a little too hard, but at the same time, like I kind of appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of working too hard, there's many, many, many action sequences in this movie. Like, he jumps out of a plane. He's running across buildings in Paris. He's in a high-speed motorcycle chase.
And then he's in a high-speed car chase.
In a high-speed car chase.
And then he's running across buildings in London also.
Yeah, a brutal fight, like in the men's room at a club where, by the way, always like electronica, like club music is playing. I was like, how come these criminal activities are never happening at like a bluegrass festival or something? It's always like, there's a helicopter chase, like he's dangling off a cliff. Like, there's so much stuff in here. But did you have a favorite?
Well, that's the thing is, and you're actually, let's see if you can guess what I'm going to say about. Let's see if you can say what I'm going to, or guess what I'm about to say when it comes to this question.
You want me to guess what I think you think is the best sequence?
Well, you know what? I think I made that too confusing.
Yes, you did.
I'm going to steal a page from your usual reviews.
Oh,
this movie's too long.
Yeah.
This movie is one action sequence too long.
Yes.
Not because I didn't like any of them. I loved all of them. But this movie is almost 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And with the amount of kick-ass action in it, you don't need all of that action.
Yes.
Because there's a pretty big
well, at the end
motorcycle chase,
yeah.
and then there's a motorcycle chase through the streets of Paris, and then there's a car chase and motorcycle chase through the streets of Paris. It's like we don't need both of them.
Like, I mean, I didn't like take out a stopwatch and time it, but there is a countdown going on at the end of this movie where like something's going to explode in 15 minutes, and I'm like, I think this is going on for like a half hour. So like, it feels like if at that point, like it's not only like feeling long, but it's like telling you it's long. I don't know. It's kind of a strange thing. The movie is too long.
Yeah. Well, and that's what kind of breaks my heart a little bit, because I think a lot of people have had a different reaction than what you and I are having, because I am hearing a lot of the reaction has been that last 20 minutes is the point where this movie throws its hat into the ring to be compared to Die Hard or Fury Road or whatever, because
I would disagree with that.
it is an unbelievably tense, unbelievably thrilling, unbelievably bravura performance by McQuarrie and the editors and Tom Cruise. The problem is you've already seen a 2-hour movie in front of that.
Yes.
So to get to whip up that level of passion and that level of that fever level of impact when you've already been there for 2 hours, it's like if you would. I really do think, for as much praise as this movie is getting, if it was 15 minutes shorter and you had that exact same last half hour, it just happened 15 minutes sooner.
Yes.
People would be going apeshit for even more.
I think I was gonna say people are already going pretty apeshit. I haven't been reading reviews because I don't like to read like a bunch of reviews before we talk about it. But I mean, I understand that it's gotten a pretty high score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's a great movie. But actually, that just reminds me.
Do you want to get into spoilers a little bit, because I have some things I do want to say, but they are a little spoilery.
We do. I just want to say I want to take a little bit of a detour first.
Okay.
In that
another one. Great.
A little bit. So we've talked about through the course of this podcast, we've talked about the Kevin Spaceys and the Bill Cosbys and the Me Too movement, and we were going to talk about James Gunn, but I think a lot of what I would have already said has been kind of said with James Gunn. And remember when, and we've talked about Harvey Weinstein and all this stuff. Stepping back now, this is the first Mission Impossible movie to come out in the Me Too movement and in this current era of kind of Hollywood awful men scandals.
Yes.
Maybe I'm being a little too smug when I say this, though. It's like, hey, remember when Tom Cruise was the bad guy? remember when Tom Cruise was supposed to be the big monster?
He is, though. He is those things.
Well, he is. And I'll be honest with it. A lot of the stuff I've read the Going Clear book, so I read Lawrence's Wright's New Yorker thing. So he's not bathed in glory.
Yes.
And he does have problems. But now when you compare him to a Kevin Spacey or a Bill Cosby or a Harvey Weinstein or these big modern monsters.
Yes.
Part of me is, and this is, I guess, why I'm asking the question, because it seems like you're a little bit more read in on this stuff, was part of that, we just don't like Tom Cruise because he's a Scientologist and he's a creep. No doubt he's a creep. But now that we're really dealing with actual, real, true criminal creeps, how much of a creep is he really?
Well, it's the whole Scientology thing, right? Like, he gives so much money to them, and he is such a face of Scientology and a spokesperson for them, and they do these awful things.
Right.
So he's associated with that, and there's, rightfully so. And there's all kinds of stories about Tom Cruise and like auditioning for, holding auditions for wives and all that stuff. I don't know if that stuff's true or not, but yeah, it does follow him around. But I understand kind of what you're trying to say. It's almost like he's like a classic Universal monster. Now we have like these crazy CGI awful, disgusting monsters, and you're like, oh, the creature from the Black Lagoon's not scary.
Or something, a little bit. You know what? That's a perfect way to say it. It's kind of like after you've seen a chestbuster, you look back at the Wolfman and you go, you know what? I guess he's not that bad. You know what? I don't know what all the fuss was about.
So I do want to talk about, I did really like this movie. It's super fun to watch. There are pretty big plot holes in this movie. Like, Tom Cruise could fly a helicopter through them. They're really big. But I do want to talk about, like, a couple of things, and so it's kind of spoilery.
Okay, yeah. Let's get into spoiling.
So if you don't want to know any spoilers, just know that Smith and I like the movie, and you can just shut this off right now, and you can come back later after you watched it.
That's right. You'll notice how much we have not actually talked about the specifics of the movie.
Well, because you don't have to, I think, really, because it really is about the action sequences, and the plot is kind of secondary. But
right.
I do want to talk about the plot a little bit. So if you don't want to know that stuff, we'll see you later. So let's talk about Henry Cavill.
Yes.
So this movie is guilty of something that kind of drives me nuts, but maybe this is fine for other people, and I'm curious to hear what you think. I think it's quite obvious very early in the movie, and they, in fact, tell you that he's the bad guy.
Right.
And then we spent a good chunk of this movie waiting for other people to catch up to what we already know.
Right.
And I kind of find that frustrating.
But
there were other people sitting around me who clearly did not pick up what I thought was a very obvious indicator that he is the bad guy. And they seemed very surprised.
Right.
To learn that he was the bad guy.
Well, yeah, I'm with you. But the thing is, I just listened to the Q&A podcast, and with talk with Christopher McQuarrie, and he does talk about this specifically. And he was making fun a little bit of the comment cards that came back during the test screenings, because some of the people were writing like, "Oh, I knew he was a bad guy. Oh, when did you know he was a bad guy? Oh, I knew he was a bad guy when this certain thing happened," or whatever. And that certain thing is like deep, deep, deep into the movie. It's like, yeah, no shit. If you don't know he's a bad guy by then, I mean, goddamn, what are we gonna
do? I knew he was a bad guy when you guys said, "Holy shit, he's the bad guy."
That's right. which is and what Christopher McQuarrie said in this interview was essentially he related the story that one of the other producers said, "Well, yeah, no shit, he's a bad guy. He's got a bad guy mustache."
That's right.
No good guy in a movie with that mustache, or no guy in a movie with that mustache has ever been a good guy. That is the bad guy mustache.
Let's also talk about like that fight in the men's room.
Mm-hmm.
That's some brutal shit.
Yeah, it was
an awesome scene, but it was also making me like kind of put my hands to my face, like, yeah. Like, yeah. And of course, like everyone, I love it when Henry Cavill's gonna like punch that guy and he kind of like cocks his arms.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna put the GIF in the blog post for this podcast if you guys haven't seen it, because it's pretty silly. So here's my question.
Yeah.
One of my other questions.
Yeah.
He's the bad guy. He's John Lark. Who do they murder in the men's room? Who is that? Is he like one of the apostles? Does he know that?
I think he is one of the apostles, and I think
does he not know that Henry Cavill is also an apostle?
I think they actually kind of explain that.
Do they? Because I don't remember.
Well, what they say is Henry Cavill, I think he says it to Angela Bassett, the head of the CIA. Sorry, I think there's a deer running around in my front yard.
Oh, cute.
Which is essentially.
Then all you hear is gunshots.
Pretty much.
No.
I hope it's not a mountain lion that's about to eat me. But so Sonia, you have to promise me if I'm eaten alive on this podcast, you have to put this episode out. You can't just go, "Oh, I can't put that out." No, you have to put it out.
Come on, you know me.
If I'm mauled
you
by
know me, you know I was going to put it out.
Excellent. All right. So anyway. It'll be
if it bleeds, it leads, Smith.
That's right. It'll be interesting to see if I actually live through this episode of Dorking Out. Well, yeah, which is basically, I think there's a moment where Henry Cavill pitches the idea that Tom Cruise hired somebody to pretend to be to pretend to be the bad guy and then assumed.
Okay, so
I think he kind of did.
So he's basically telling you what he did, but got it.
I think so, but I'm actually gonna see. I think I'm gonna see this movie again. One, because it's so fun, and two, there's a lot of twists and double crosses and double crosses.
Yeah.
In this movie, and I don't know if I have them all mapped out too much. But the thing that I did like about Henry Cavill's performance is you didn't necessarily know. You knew he was not Tom Cruise's friend, and you knew he was probably not a good guy.
Yeah.
But what you didn't know is exactly who he is, because he could have essentially been assuming the part of Alec Baldwin in the last Mission Impossible movie, which is, I am from a rival agency. I don't like what you're doing. I'm going to try to destroy your job,
right.
kind of thing. Like, is he trying to replace Tom Cruise? Is he trying to, like, what exactly is going on? Is he a literal bad guy working for the literal bad guys, or is he just like the young gun, the young up-and-comer whippersnapper who's a threat to Tom Cruise? So
he's going to be the new, like, Jeremy Renner.
Exactly. But I think, I'm sorry, Jeremy Renner, but Henry Cavill is a lot more charismatic. Well, actually, I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
Now that we're talking about this.
Yes.
So Henry Cavill, Daniel Craig, supposedly he's got one more James Bond movie.
Oh no, you're not going to suggest that he should be Bond.
Well, no, here's the thing. I am not nearly the only one.
I'm actually kind of fascinated that you think he's so charismatic. I think he has no charisma.
That's why I'm asking you, because I really like him. But one of the other podcasts I listen to is the James Bonding podcast with Matt Myra and Matt Gorley.
I don't know. I've never listened
to
it.
And they were talking about this, and they were talking about how, Henry Cavill has no charisma or whatever. And I was watching him in this movie thinking, I really do like him. I could see him being a cool Bond.
I don't see it at all.
He's actually British. He actually is British. He actually could do this. I think he's too buff to be Bond. Bond needs to look like he could get his ass kicked every now and then. And I don't think I can't, even if
I think you're on a slippery slope when you start talking about what Bond needs to look like, because then you're, remember when everyone lost their shit because Daniel Craig was blonde?
No, I was not one. I would like to point out I was not one.
You were not one of those people.
But
I don't think he's very charismatic. But
that's my question. Do you think he has enough? Because did you see Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
No.
Okay.
But I've actually heard that it's kind of an enjoyable movie. Should I see it?
Yeah, but it's not. But I don't remember his performance as a spectacular.
I only know him as Superman, and I only know him as Superman because I saw Justice League. I didn't even see the other Supermans. And I was pretty indifferent to him even as Superman, so...
Okay, well, maybe he is the new Jeremy Renner, where the people try to put him in a lot of stuff. They try to make him the next big thing, but his charisma is not quite what it needs to be to carry those big things. And maybe we've seen the last of him being in, because I really
don't think that's true. I think Hollywood thinks he's a really big star, but me personally, I think he has no charisma. I was talking to a friend about this movie, and he said that he thinks Henry Cavill is completely sexless.
Wow. Yeah.
So there you go.
That's you could be correct, because the other thing that I've been hearing is, okay, Man of Steel came out, it underperformed. Batman versus Superman came out, it underperformed. Justice League came out, and it really underperformed.
Right. But I'm sure Aquaman will be great.
Well, no, Man from U.N.C.L.E. came out. It was a good movie. They got really good reviews. It underperformed. Mm-hmm. Henry Cavill has not had a blowout hit that is.
Well, no, because
you can credit to him.
Because so what I'm saying is, you're not going to want to get into this, but he's a decent looking white dude. Like, he's gonna get many chances to make his mark in Hollywood, whereas, you know, someone of color or a woman will get like one shot.
No, but here's the thing. I definitely agree that white guys get more chances, but they don't get, when you've had a string of missteps and flops and underperformances, you don't get that many more chances. I guess that's my point. Is I think Henry Cavill might be at the moment where, you know, we've seen this with Jeremy Renner. We've seen this with
Jeremy
Ryan
Renner's
Reynolds.
getting plenty of chances, and Ryan Reynolds too.
When's the last starring role in a big budget movie that he's gotten? It hasn't.
He was in Arrival.
He was the second lead in Arrival, and Arrival is not a big budget action movie. He flamed out in the Bourne series.
Right.
He flamed out in Mission Impossible.
But he didn't flame out in Mission Impossible. Those movies made a shit ton of money.
Right. But he wasn't the reason that they made a shit ton of money.
Right.
He was diminished in the second movie he was in, and who was not.
Why am I defending Jeremy Renner? I don't care.
No, you can defend him all you want. My point is there are these stars that Hollywood lifts up every once in a while, tries to make them go, and sometimes they take off like Ryan Gosling.
Yes.
And sometimes they fade out like Jeremy Renner or what was the one? Oh God, he was in John Carter of Mars, and he was in Battleship, and he was
in Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
That's my point. He is, every once in a while you'll get a run where, wow, this guy's in 3 huge movies in the span of 18 months. He must be the next big thing. And when those 3 movies flame out, it's like, oh, I guess he wasn't the next big thing.
They did this.
I'm wondering if Henry Cavill is at that stage. That's all I'm saying.
They did this a while ago with Jessica Biel.
That's right.
I was like, stop trying to make Jessica Biel a thing. I'm sorry, she's not. She's not a thing. And like, she was in, because she was in like Seventh Heaven or whatever. And then she does like a Maxim spread, and she's all like, I'm sexy now. I'm sure she's a perfectly nice lady. Married to Justin Timberlake. Did a mini series called The Sinner. It's supposedly super great, and I'm gonna watch it. But like, for a long time, Hollywood's like, she's gonna be a huge star, you guys. And they put her in like, what's that shitty movie with like Jamie Foxx and they're flying planes? It was basically a Top Gun. Do you remember?
Oh my God.
They just made like a bunch of these like crap movies, and they put Jessica Biel in it. And I was like, dude, it's not going to happen. Stop trying to make Jessica Biel a big star.
That is exactly my point. And I think we have answered the question.
Yes.
Maybe we haven't answered the question, because I think Henry Cavill, as much as I really do like him, because I do like him as Superman, and I would be interested in seeing what they did with him as Bond. I think he is like the 2018 Jessica Biel, Jeremy Renner. What's the guy?
Freddie Prinze Jr.?
No, but maybe. Well, maybe. Yeah, actually, you know what? Jesus Christ, how did I not pick up on that? Laugh as you might, Mansfield. Freddie Prinze Jr. was one of those guys.
Yeah.
He was in.
He was in a whole bunch of those movies. They were constantly like, "This is it. This is our new romantic leading man. He's going to be our new Tom Hanks, you guys."
Oh, maybe not. He's going to be. We're going to put him in Wing Commander. He's going to be our new Han Solo, Harrison Ford. Oh no, that movie's awful. We're not going to put him in. Yeah, no, that's.
So, what did you think about them bringing back Michelle Monaghan, thank you, as Ethan's, I guess now ex-wife?
I liked it. I liked their little explanation. I liked their,
because I liked it too, actually.
I
like that. I think that movies like this love to just fucking kill off people,
right?
Because they don't want to bring them back. basically, and I think it would have been so easy for them to do that here, and they don't. They bring her back and they give us like, I don't know, give him some closure, give the audience some closure so that they can move the story forward, I guess. I mean, I don't love the idea that maybe they're hinting at a hookup with him and Elsa. Because I like that they're colleagues and equals. I don't really want her to be like his romantic interest. I think she's more than that, but what are you going to do? I can't rewrite the entire movie.
No, I think that's why I like it. It's because one of the things that, people say in these movies, oh, he doesn't have really any character. He's just this Energizer bunny that goes. But I think they kind of reveal in this movie, and subtextually throughout these movies, you could tell that he really is kind of this weird control freak. The guy that can't get away from the office is the guy that can't get work out of his head, and he's got to be working. Yeah. He's got to be focused. He's got to be.
Smith, the real impossible mission is falling in love.
Well, what I mean is,
and forgiveness and letting go.
Well, that's right. And they show that he really does have this weird problem that he cannot. He really does believe the fate of the world rests on his shoulders, and that if he's not doing it, it's tearing him apart. So he's created this weird solitary life where he's sleeping on cots in warehouses and getting sent to a Russian prison for 6 months just to do a mission. And he's kind of crazy. So I do, and that's the thing is, I think it seems as though you think that if Ilsa and him fall in love, it would somehow diminish her as this force, and I really disagree. I think she's the only kind of person who he could find some sort of happiness with, and he's the only kind of person that she could find some happiness with, because they're both so wed to this weird, dangerous, threatening profession that no one else can understand, that they're the only where they're going to find kind of some companionable happiness in this world is with each other.
No, I want them to be alone and miserable.
Yeah, no shit. I got that. Yeah, heaven forbid somebody mess up Ilsa's cool kick-ass chick mentality by being with Tom Cruise. So no, the only way she can prove that she's his equal is if they don't get together.
Yes.
You're just a hard-hearted harlot, Mansfield.
This is all true. Do you think, before we go,
yeah,
because I want us to end soon.
Yeah, because you've had enough of this.
I've had enough of your shit. Do you think Mission Impossible is the best action franchise right now?
Yes, but it is not my favorite.
What's your favorite?
My favorite is still the James Bond movies.
Yeah.
There's a level that they're playing at that, well, I would be I'll be really happy. I was definitely one of those Bond fans that after Pierce Brosnan and after Die Another Day, I was like, oh, they got to get back to being serious. They got to get back to being not ridiculous and dumb and jokey and punny and stupid. And goddamn, these movies have gone so far off the rails, so far afield.
God, I long for the good old days of Octopussy.
I do. Where there's this nice balance of fun and thrills, but not well, I should say, like The Spy Who Loved Me or For Your Eyes Only, where there's this nice balance of weirdness and fun and thrills and big movie making without just getting stupid. And the Bond series, Daniel Craig's movies, they've gotten really serious. They've got a lot of cool action. They've got a lot of cool stuff in them, but they have missed out on just the fun of movie making.
Yeah.
They're like they're 20% too serious. I think Spectre, for me, it had a lot of problems, but it was almost to the point where there was some actual authentic humor and some actual authentic laughs in it, but it never really got there. And then it got really serious again. And with the Mission Impossible movies, they are hitting this perfect balance between thrills, fear, laughs, great character moments. Well, you know what?
I think my favorite action franchise is the Fast and the Furious.
Oh, you're such a liar. You know what?
I hate them.
You know what? Here's the thing.
Actually, I haven't seen them all. I should take that back.
You know, here's what I'm going to say, because I constantly have this discussion with people.
Also, I know that your real favorite is the Transformers.
That's right. There's this constant discussion of
he's seen them all, you guys.
What's your favorite? I haven't, but I definitely take your point, and I am in no position to push back. I've seen all but one. That's my problem. There's the question of is this the best one going, and what's your favorite? And now that we're talking it through, mainly me talking to myself.
Yes.
I think this is the best action movie series going right now. My favorite is still Bond, but I think this is the best, because when I think about what they're trying to achieve, the level that they're trying to work at, the level of execution that they're successfully hitting, and the balancing of all this stuff, and the fact that they've done it through 4 movies at this point, I'm not sure I can think of another series that is batting with that level of success.
Yes. I mean, when I thought of this question, I was like, well, would you put John Wick in this category? But I was like, that's like 2 movies. It's not enough to
I agree.
to put it on this level.
And for me, I was really bored by that second movie.
Oh, okay.
I was like, okay, he's kicking ass with a gun again, and he's doing this kind of gun fu thing, and I'm already bored.
Interesting.
So yeah, I am very interested in the world of John Wick, but I am not interested in, the kind of whole assassin subculture or parallel universe that they're kind of creating. But I am not, like, the actual movie itself. Was not exciting.
Okay.
It's just a bunch of gunfights and close action, whatever. I mean, that's the thing I love about these. That's the thing I love, is they're using the whole about these Mission Impossible movies, is they're using the whole palette of action. Sometimes it's quick, tight fist fights, knife fights, gunfights, car chases, plane chases, underwater stuff. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, this is definitely the best.
Well, one of the things I like about this series is, because they had different directors for every one, each one felt very different. Like, they looked and felt different. Right. I think these last 2, obviously, since they're both directed by Christopher McQuarrie, don't have that. But I still really like them.
Right.
I think they're still really good. I mean, he's not like some director where you're like, that is so McQuarrie. Like, he's like not that kind of director.
Right.
But I do miss kind of the part where we get like a little bit of that style that you get from like a certain kind of director, I guess.
Yeah. So,
but I think they're super entertaining, and I think you're super entertaining.
Thank you, Sonia. But I've got a question for you before we close out.
Okay.
Can you guess what question I'm going to ask you?
Yes. And the answer is no, Smith. I only like you as a friend.
That is definitely not the question I'm going to ask you. Ever again. After our divorce, Mansfield, go back to the 40th anniversary show.
Yes.
For that reference.
You're going to ask me for my rating.
That's right. What's your number?
I'm say 7.
7. Wow, that seems pretty low.
You think so? I think it's high.
Oh, you know what? Okay. Well, I'm going to give this an 8.5.
Ooh.
I'm really going to go up there. It might, I need to see it again because I think I've said this before. In order for any movie to get a 9 or a 10, I've got to see it twice to make sure that I just wasn't in a weird mood and it really deserves it. But I suspect I'm really going to like this movie watching it again. So this might be a 9.
Damn.
This might be, yeah. So.
Wow.
All right.
This is your favorite Tom Cruise movie since Days of Thunder.
You know what? Days of Thunder is a hell of a fun movie.
Whatever.
I am not going to take that kind of guff from you, Mansfield.
I'm kidding. Your favorite is Cocktail. Mainly because you love that Beach Boys song so much.
That's right. My favorite is Cocktail, another movie that couldn't be named what it's named in the modern era.
You brought it full circle.
So next week we are going to be talking about Spike Lee, and let's not forget, because I have heavily teased it in this episode. Let's not forget the Spike Lee got pissed off because of something Sonia's boyfriend did story. Ex-boyfriend.
So this was super fun. Thank you for listening, everybody. You can find the Dorking Out Show on dorkingoutshow.com. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Stitcher and Spotify. But if you're listening to us, you probably already found us. Don't you think, Smith?
Actually, that's true. We should probably have this at the beginning of the episode. But
well,
yeah,
no,
you know
even
what?
if they're listening to the beginning, they've still found us.
That's right.
But maybe you're not following us on social media. You can find us on Twitter at Dorking Out Show and on Facebook. And sometimes we're on Instagram, but mainly Twitter and Facebook. This was super fun, Smith. It's always nice to have you back.
It is nice to be back. I'm hoping to be back more in the coming months.
Yay!
And yeah, let's you and I talk a little bit, and then maybe we will be ready to make some sort of announcement semi soon. But yeah. Anyway,
that sounds like a threat. But anyway, do you have anything else you want to say?
You know what? I do. I would like to thank David for doing all the technical stuff that I don't have time to do, and apparently you don't have time to do because you're not doing it. You foisted it off on
my
David.
mighty, mighty good man.
So for all the guff I give him, for all of the ball busting that I do, and goddamn, does anybody deserve it more than him? No. But the point is,
he's like the nicest man on the planet.
He is definitely a man on this planet. I want to say thank you for keeping the show going. Thank you, Sonia, for doing your part, which I am comically minimizing right now, but I do really appreciate what you're doing. And
thank you to everyone who's been filling in, like Margot and Peter and David.
That's right.
It's been very fun.
That's right.
I would say special shout out to Margot. She's done multiple episodes and she's fucking rad.
Yes, she is. She should be the other co-host of the show, but too bad for her. I'm probably coming back soon. But really, Sonia, what I wanted to say is you've been keeping this show going for the months while I've been gone and busy. So I wanted to make sure that I took time to thank the man that was doing it.
Yeah. You want to take some time out of my busy podcasting schedule to thank
somebody that's not even on the show right now.
Mm-hmm. Fucking hashtag me too, you guys.
I was trying so hard to be nice to David, and then I realized that I totally blew by you.
Yeah.
And now my see, this is why I'm not nice to anybody. It never works out.
It's too hard, you guys. Forget it.
I don't do this anymore. Bye.
Is that all you're saying? Is that what you want to end with now? Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
No, seriously. Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, I think I've done enough damage.
I think you have. Well, then I will just say bye. Bye.